Okay, good day to you all. Here, what we're looking at is I'm just going to time up my audio here. I do that by going to like this drum set here, and I just do some beat, beat, beat. Okay, and I'll time up pretty well. Okay, so focusing on timbre, let's just look for what is it that, where can we find different things that we can use. So if I go in here, you'll find, okay, the air U and the pipa will work nicely. That's something you can use. The guitar, definitely smart guitar will help you with some good texture stuff. Bass guitar, we talked about starting with bass guitar will do that. Strings, you'll find a string bass in here as well. You can choose all of the string instruments to play together, or I can unclick them and have just if I click on the different areas, I get a different pitch. If I click the top by the G, I get a pitch, and if I click down, I get a different pitch. I can add the violins in. And if I slide my finger, I'm getting this. But if I just tap it, I get the plucking sound. If I slide it, I get the bowing sound. There are also some autoplay options on here too. I just click it and it'll do a pattern for me. So that'll help you with some nice textures. You can definitely use those. Autoplay options are very, very nice. If I want to make melodies, which we'll get to later, there's things we can do in here. Okay, and it looks really complicated right now, but that's another lesson. Okay, going on to other instrument options, you can record your voice. I wouldn't recommend doing that at this time. The guitar, I wouldn't recommend doing that at this time. We already looked at the drums, but the keyboard has a lot of options in it. Okay, so I click on the grand piano to pull up all of the options. Here's just keyboard instruments. Okay, if I go into Alchemy Synth, oh my gosh, look at all, these are all things that'll create some really cool textures for you. If I just hold it down, you can see where I'm clicking, fortunately. That's really nice. So there are tons of those kind of things that are really nice. The bass instruments, these are all bass synthesized instruments. Wow, I'm just going through tons of them. I definitely would start with some bass, and the gray squares at the bottom. So as I move, just doing that. I can do some autoplay bass too, and then just click on it. And it'll keep stuff going with your drums. It'll sound really nice that way. Okay, so plenty of bass ones. Other keys, leads. Okay, I gotta click on it to get something different. Okay. Mallet instruments are gonna sound like xylophones. So if I click on the gray, I get a bass sound, and if I click up above, I get more of a treble sound. Okay, pads are kind of long tones, more like the violins we're getting. Okay, same thing. You can do bass and up high. Okay, rhythmic instruments. You got some bass. You got some other things. And you can hear that kind of it has this fast flutter. That's why it's called rhythmic, okay? Sound effects. If you're trying to tell a story, you might be able to find some cool things in there too. Soundscapes. Okay. Stringed instruments. These are a lot of the strings we were already doing, but on the keyboard version. Okay, synth are more synthesized sounds. Okay, so again, I was telling you about how these are just manufactured sounds, so they don't exist in nature. Then vocals. Now this is all of these were in one category here. We still have synth classics, synth bass, synth leads, synth pads, more sound effects. Okay, and then lastly, in other, this is where you might find some of your traditional instruments. You actually see there's all the guitars in here, all of the acoustic guitars and the pipa, string bass. You also have flute, some oboe, French horn, things like that. Okay, so if I'll get some bass brass, and then I'll get some chords up here. If you want it to be more or less not smart strings, you have to switch it. There's this button all the way to the right. It turns red. Okay, to be smart. Okay, and it can do, you can play with these other things and how it sounds different. Okay, and then if you want the auto, so the autoplay will give you some good texture, but it won't give you necessarily like a melody sound. But we're working on making texture right now. So that's exactly what you need to do. Okay? If you want the keyboard, I've shown you this scale thing before. Okay? Okay, so it can do some really cool things for you that way. So if I want to use my horns here in the beginning, I'm going to use some autoplay. I really liked autoplay 3, so I'm going to go ahead and record that. Make sure you hit the record button. And then I can change the chord by just moving over. Remember our rule of 4? Where you changing every measure or so, and it'll automatically change at the start of the measure. Okay, now I got so I go back to my meter thing there, and all right, that's what I've got. Okay, now I finish that's just my background. Okay, that's a pretty good background. Can I add more to that? Sure, I really like the bass guitar, so I want to add some sort of bass first. So let's go ahead and do that. We go in there. We're going to make sure this slider here, you got to make sure it's going to start recording wherever you put it. So you got to make sure it's at the beginning if I want to record at the beginning. So I'm just going to get some autoplay on here will work okay, but maybe I need to choose. Well, I'm not sure what scale I'm going to use yet, so let's just stick with some of the chords for autoplay. That'll work really nicely, okay? So I'm going to start on the same one that I used with the horns. It's hard to remember where I was. Okay, so now, I have to play with that a little bit longer to get it to sound exactly the way I really want it to. It's always best if you do it at the same time. Yeah, see, I didn't get it started right away. Okay, but it's lining up with what I created. Okay, now in my next section, I want to have something different, something a little bit new. Okay, so I choose a totally different instrument. Okay. I need to go into here to choose a different instrument to add. So maybe I want some guitar there. Okay, and I go back to this button here will help me with the chords. Okay, so here I'm in a new section. I'm going to add something new. Okay, and there's all the little things that you can play with and explore. But so here I need to start right at the B where that is, and let's record here. Okay, so that there is really loud, but now because I was actually tapping that, this is a really important thing. Anytime you tap something and put it in manually, you have to quantize it, because that's if I go to settings, because there's just little imperfections that you might have. So see where it says quantization and settings there? I just click on it once to bring up settings. Click on it once, and then there's settings here. I click on that, find quantization. Probably 8th note or 16th note quantization is what you're going to want. And I do that, and all of a sudden, okay, it sounds really good. If I undo what I just did, it's a little bit sloppier, okay? So I just keep that quantization and it'll be better, okay? So, keep explore. Oh, there's one last thing we need to look at, and that is loops. That is this button up here that looks like a little loop. So here you can drag in loops that you like. Okay, there's percussion loops. So maybe in this next section, I really like that. I want to drag that in. Now see, it's not letting me. Okay, that's because I have to make sure I have an audio track in. So I have to actually add in a track to put in loops. So here loops are in the sound library, okay? And you can find there are ones you can download if you want to download some. But we can go in there. All right, well, I don't know. So, so how do we get a loop to go in there? Sometimes if you put in one of these tracks in there, it might, ooh, no. Let's see. How do we do that? So just a new track, so I added it down there. But you can see if this one is playing over and over again, see, it's not really melody, it's just something that's there. It's a good texture. Okay, I'll show you that in a moment. It's a good texture, but I probably don't want it to play the entire time. Okay, so maybe I just want it to play during this section, because it'll get a little bit boring, or a little bit tiresome. Okay, then we can add more loops on top of that. might be a cool moment to have where like suddenly someone gets scared or something like that if you have it in your story. Yeah, I can actually zoom in and I can just crop that out. Let me see. So I just do split it like a scissor. Okay, now it's split in two. I can delete that, and then I can copy this and put it wherever I want it. So maybe I want it to go right here. Okay, and then I just do paste. Bam, there it goes right there where I want it. Okay. Okay, so I hope that I've given you enough things to look at and prepare for, and things to explore and experiment with, and you'll keep looking and you'll find more things than I was even able to show you in this short period of time. So there's a lot to learn and a lot to explore, and I want you to just have fun. This is probably going to take you a couple of days just to play around with and figure out what it can do and how you can put things together. The next things we'll start talking about are how you organize it. You can have lots of cool things that you like, but how do you put them together in a way that makes sense, a way that sounds good? Okay, so good to talk to you all. Have fun exploring. Bye.